Welcome back to SnowRunner, y'all, and in this video, we are going to be diving back into the game on console, and this is being played on an Xbox Series X. Now, real quick, I do want to thank Thrustmaster for sponsoring the controller cam and for sending me out one of their eSwap XR controllers. If you want to check them out for yourselves, there is a link to the Thrustmaster eShop in the description down below, and in this video, we're actually going to be using the wheel module to drive, and y'all are going to be able to see how it gives me better precision with the front wheels and where I place them than I would have with a standard thumbstick. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the topics of this video. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, I wanted to do sort of a state of the game here on console. And one of the things that I really wanted to dive deep into is the modding situation on console, especially the modding situation currently, because the modding situation ever since all of the platforms got split up, especially the generations of the platforms got split up, and the modding availability became a lot more kind of spaced out depending on what console you had, that segmented the community a lot, which is understandable. However, this is running on a next-gen console, an Xbox Series X, and as you can see, I'm still able to create some really fun RP scenarios, especially out here on a map like Outback Overlanding, using a truck like the Dodge and this Land Cruiser Ute that I was able to put together. Now, obviously, it's not going to be, still at this point, it's not quite as wide of a mod landscape on next gen as it is on previous gen, and that's genuinely because there are a lot of mods that just never got the updated files. However, some mod creators are literally, as we speak, going back and updating their collection, including Limes. For example, a lot of y'all may know Limes because Limes was one of the first creators to do a bunch of crazy, wild trucks on console that had things that people had never done before, especially in terms of console mods, like, you know, the massive, like, 15, 20-foot tall suspension, the squatted suspension that was just so cartoonishly high in the front that, like, it was basically a meme, and all of these other trucks that were sort of a first for their time. And that's not to say that the other mod creators that were making mods at the same time for consoles that Limes was, that's not to say that they didn't have some incredibly creative ideas either, but I think the ideas that Limes had really stuck with the community, and I'm very happy to let y'all know that Limes is currently going back through and updating almost their entire collection, including trucks like Ares and the original L400, and trucks that y'all remember back from sort of the first round of SnowRunner console mods, especially back from the days when the console mod browser was pretty much localized to every console regardless of generation. And interestingly, as time has gone on with console mods, one of the things I've been noticing lately is a little bit more of a trend in the direction of realistic / RP-based vehicles, as opposed to just over-the-top crazy extreme machines. Now, don't get me wrong, I love crazy over-the-top vehicles with like 3-story tall tires as much as the next person. Now, well, it's hard to say as much as the next person because some people absolutely despise vehicles like that, and I've literally seen people in various parts of the SnowRunner community, whether that's in my comments or in comments on Facebook pages or whatever the case may be, I've literally seen some people say that like unrealistic mod vehicles need to be banned from the game and banned from the mod browser, and I'm like, what the heck would even be the point of that? That would literally lead to less people playing the game. Because guess what? Those insane vehicles are a blast to use, they're a blast to drive, and they're a blast to just bomb around a map with. And if it upsets you that much to see someone else having fun with the game in a way that is different from the way you have fun with the game, then you might need to rethink the reasons why you're playing the game, or spending more time policing what vehicles other players drive than enjoying the game that you bought to enjoy to begin with. And speaking of trucks that I'm really happy to see getting updated, Limes was actually very kind to share some progress photos of some of the trucks that have been in the, I was gonna say works, but more like reworks, because this is the updated version of Ares that is in development right now and will be on its way to next-gen consoles as soon as it, of course, gets released by Limes and then gets approved by the dev team. Now, it's not the only truck that Limes has been doing a rework on, though, because another truck that Limes has been reworking, and a truck that I know y'all will be happy to see getting an update, is this, the OG L400. Now, the original L400 was one of those sort of trucks that took the game and the community by storm when it first released, and I'm sure that once this truck gets released back out into the community, not only in next-gen form, but in its updated form, because I'm sure Limes is going to sneak some, you know, some nifty little details that you'll have to kind of dig for and figure out, but I'm sure when that truck makes its way back out to the community in its updated form, I cannot wait to see how it drives, how the community takes to it, and the scenarios that people come up with on all of the new maps that we've had since these trucks originally came out. Now, another thing is, I think when the mod browser on console got separated generationally, I think it really showed how many people are actually on next-gen consoles, because the amount of people that were upset by the decision to segment the mod browser like that was astronomical, because a lot of people, you know, thought back when that change originally happened, they were like, well, not a lot of people, I shouldn't say, but some people in the community were like, well, this isn't going to be all that big of a deal because there aren't really that many, I'm using air quotes here, that many people on next gen. There were a lot of people on next gen, and there were a lot of people that were genuinely upset that their mod browser had a quarter of the mods that it did before. Of course, rightfully so. I would be upset too. Now, the issue, I think, with what happened was after all of the updates and after all of the different things that mod creators had to do to keep up with the different versions of the game, what ended up happening was the developers just kind of dropped that next-gen update, completely segmented the mod browser, and then said, hey, y'all mod creators, figure it out. Sorry. And the mod creators were kind of just left to their own devices to figure it out from there, and some said, okay, well, this isn't ideal, but we'll figure it out, we'll move forward, and some others were like, this is too much, I'm not going to deal with this, y'all have fun with it, I'm going to just leave the files the way I had them, and that's that. And, you know, I have respect for mod creators that chose to go both ways. I have immense respect for mod creators that were like, oh crap, well, I wasn't anticipating on having to make these changes, but here's these new files, and hopefully the mods get reapproved for the next gen consoles. And, you know, at the same time, I also understand the mod creators that were like, what the heck are you doing? I'm not interested in bothering with changing my mods again. I've already had to change them up so many different times. So I completely understand the approach for the mod creators from either direction. But in Lime's case, and of course the case of all of the other mod creators that are going through the process of updating their mods for next-gen consoles, my hat is off to all of y'all. That is not a easy process, and it can be very tedious, very in-depth, and honestly, not a process that everybody has the time to do. But, dude, these people absolutely put their heart and soul not only into their mods, but into this community, because not only do they love the game, they love the community, because if they didn't love the community, they wouldn't be releasing these mods out into the community. And for me, in my own personal opinion, you know, these people really are what push this game and this series forward. And I know I've said this before, but the modding community pushes this game forward just as much as the dev team does. The dev team gives us the framework to work within for an awesome off-roading game, and then the mod community keeps that community alive. It keeps the game alive. It keeps the experience fresh. It keeps the adventures new. It keeps the experiences new. It keeps the entire ecosystem functioning in a way that if you want to use this as a hauling simulator, you can. If you want to use this as a mudding simulator, you can. If you want to use it as a rock crawling game, you also can. Now, granted, yes, there are going to be people out there that will say, well, this game's not all that good for rock crawling because you've got stuff like BeamNG Drive where you have better direct interaction between the tire and the rock, and, you know, it's more deeply simulated, there's more points of contact, and I get that. I understand that BeamNG is on a deeper level of physical simulation, and I'm not going to argue that. However, BeamNG does not have the type of terrain deformation that SnowRunner and really the Runner series in general has always had, because whereas soft body physics have been BeamNG's sort of claim to fame over the years, and frankly, they do an incredible job with it, and really it's more than the soft body physics, but it's their entire physics system in general. The Runner series has, from the very beginning, it has had the terrain deformation, the mud deformation, and all of these terrain-based physics that really nobody else has been able to replicate. And I think that that in itself is one of the other big things that keeps this series going, keeps this series interesting, and keeps the community, both players and mod creators, coming back. But that has been a sort of state of the console modding sphere in SnowRunner, and if y'all enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.